Come here, dogs. Alright, we're on the air. Alright, come here once. Alright. So anyway, my first guest, he resides in Woonsocket, Rhode Island, and I haven't seen him in 25 years, and I'm here right now, right in his house, and we're gonna do a little interview here, so let me get this dog off me. But give a warm welcome for Jeff Osgood. Come on down. So, how you doing? It's
good
to see
good.
You. Alright.
Good. First time I've ever interviewed in my own fucking home.
Really?
Yeah.
Alright. So, why don't we just get right to the
remarkable.
point? Who are these guys right now?
Alright, this is Coco.
Coco.
She is pot lab and pot pit and 100% brain dead.
Okay, come on in.
This is my baby. This is Lady.
Come on, lady.
She's camera shy. She's not ready for Hollywood yet.
Okay. Well, anyway.
Siberian Husky, 4 years old.
4 years old.
Yeah.
And this one's how old?
I'm going on 2.
Alright.
3 if I let her.
And they're very friendly, right?
Yeah, very friendly unless I'm fucked with.
Okay. Well, we'll see if we can make that happen, okay?
No, you don't want it. Not if you want to keep on living.
Alright. So anyway, let's go way back to when you first had interest in music and playing guitar or drums, or, you know, what did you start out with?
I started off fooling around with drums when I was a little kid, like around 11, 12 years old. You know, and especially in junior high, they used to have drums hanging around in the music room. I used to go there and just fool around, and they just came naturally to me.
Hang on a second.
You know.
Let's get these dogs calmed down for a second. So,
Fuck down.
So you started out on the drums, okay. Now when did you pick up the guitar, would you say?
Oh, I'd say when I was about 13.
13. Now, were you in any bands, or are you just playing around with songs, or?
I really didn't get in any bands till, let's say, after high school.
High school, okay. So you go to Woonsocket High School. What kind of city is Woonsocket? How do you say it? Woonsocket?
Woonsocket.
Woonsocket, okay. So you graduated from high school there, all right.
Mhm.
So
In
after
1977.
77, okay. So you grew your hair long, right? You were the
Yes,
big
I
rock
did.
star, okay?
You wouldn't know it now.
Well, you know. Anyway, so you joined the band? You were in several bands, or how did that
I was
work
just
out?
in one band after high school.
One band, okay.
One
And
band.
then what kind of music did you play in that?
We were just doing like oldies,
Oldies?
like 60s rock.
Okay.
And I wasn't with them that long because they were all considerably older than me, like at least 10, 15 years older. And I was only a kid, you know, 18 years old, and it just didn't work out, you know, because I wasn't really experienced as far as being in a band situation. So after like a couple of months, I was more or less asked to leave.
Okay.
And they had somebody take my place, so I was like, okay, whatever, you know.
Okay, well, it must have been shortly, a couple years after high school maybe, that you decided you're going to join the Navy. How did that
Well,
go?
I went to Kansas right after that, and then after being in Kansas for a while, I did join the Navy. You know, in 1980, I went in.
Okay. All right, so you did your boot camp in Great Lakes, I imagine?
Yes, I did.
Okay, then you went to school in Mississippi?
Meridian, Mississippi.
Okay. And what was that like?
Meridian, Mississippi was a blast.
It was?
It was, oh
Okay.
yeah, because we were way down south, and plus that's where the PV amplifier and guitar factory, the main branch, is located.
Okay.
But back then you only had just that one factory. It's not like now where they have subsidiaries in China, you know, Lake Buttfuck or whatever,
Yeah.
you know. And that's where I bought my first really major piece of equipment, a PV Backstage 30 amp. I bought it direct from the factory at the time, I think, if I remember correctly, for $130.
Okay. All right, so you get on the ship, the USS Enterprise. This is right around 1981, I would say?
Yeah, well, no, 1980.
1980, okay, right
Anyways,
out
at the time when I bought that amp, I had for guitars, I had a copy of a Gibson ES335 that my father bought for me from Sears Roebuck. It was a silver tone. And I had it at home in Kansas. I didn't have it with me at A school. At Meridian, I bought at a music store in town. To this day, I wish I hadn't gotten rid of it. It was a Fender Music Master from the late 50s. At the time, I paid like $100 for it. It was, I think it was like, if I remember correctly, cherry red finish. I think it was a 58 or 59 model with the original case.
Wow.
I paid $100 for it. If I had kept that up to today, I could get at least 2-3 grand for it, easy.
But you got rid of it.
I got rid of it. Well,
Okay,
I was
well
young.
you should have known it was going to be a collector's
Well,
item
I was
someday.
young. What the fuck did I know?
You didn't know nothing, because you were in the Navy now, and now you're a young man, you're on an aircraft carrier, you're stationed up in Bremerton, Washington. The ship's in dry dock, apparently, for 3 years, and you must have caught it about halfway through. So what was Washington like? Okay, you're not going out to sea, you're just hanging out there in Puget Sound, right?
Washington was, it was drab up there. You know, the weather was shitty all the time, most of the time. You know, all we did was party a lot.
And what were the girls like? I'm just teasing you. I know you were well behaved and everything in the Navy.
Bremelos.
Bremelos. I remember the term.
You remember that term?
Yes,
No,
I
you were
do.
there.
It's been a long time. But no, I was only there for a month though. I caught the last month of the dry dock. And speaking of that, when we went back down to Alameda, they had a little party and there was the ship's band. And you were the drummer, and that's when I first saw you. And you're playing all these oldie songs. You had your Fire Purdy shirt on, remember that? The red shirt?
Oh, I was on duty.
And I remember specifically you were just like tapping these tom-toms, you know, before you started. I'm just like mesmerized because I didn't know anything, and I thought it was pretty cool, you know. So let's go maybe 6 months down the road. I see you in the ship's storeroom. What were you selling? The tobacco shop it was? A smoke shop?
Yeah, it was the smoke shop, yeah. I was running the smoke shop.
Okay, and then I kind of got to know you a little bit, and all of a sudden you whip out these black and white pictures of you up on stage, you know.
Oh, the PI.
Yeah, and that's how we got the ball rolling with our friendship, and like, hey, I want to do that, you know. And so we would practice on the ship, and we actually wrote a couple songs, but
see, a lot of stuff I didn't remember until you brought it up, because of my head injury, you know.
Yeah, and we're gonna get into all that stuff we're right now we're in the Navy. Okay, you're a big comic book collector too, right at the time.
At the time I was.
You're trading and selling, buying comics on the ship, right?
Yeah.
Now, did they sell those too on the ship?
Yeah, they sold new ones.
Okay.
At the time, I think they were going for 35 to 40 cents a pop.
Okay, so we're both in supply. I'm in S1, you're in S3, right? Okay, so you're in the storeroom, and then you move up to cutting hair. You're in the barbershop now, right?
Yeah, they sent me to school in San Diego.
You did. You went to a hair cutting school.
Yeah.
And this is while you were on the ship, and they sent you off the ship. Okay, I did not know that.
Yeah.
So yeah, Jeff actually gave me a couple of haircuts, and he went from the enlisted haircut, and then you moved up to the cutting the officers. And I remember that was a very nice room for a ship. Okay, so then let's just go to right when we got back to the Philippines, and you got me up on stage, and we did Johnny Be Good. Remember that? And you were singing vaguely. I remember it just like it was yesterday. So anyway, we would do these songs, and he got me playing AC/DC, Led Zeppelin, you know, you name it. We were doing it.
We used to have fun doing that shit.
Yeah, and Jeff, you were a big drinker at the time, right? And I wasn't. I would drink a few San Miguel's, but yeah, and you would drink to a point of being passed out, right?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, you could call it that.
Okay, all right. Now I want to get into you got out in 1984. We were starting our second cruise. You were roughly, what, 2 months or 1 month into the cruise?
About that, something
Okay.
like that, yeah.
They fly you off right in the middle of the ocean.
Indian Ocean.
Yeah, so your enlistment's done. They wanted you to re-enlist, and you didn't want to because you had to stay another year in the ship, and you wanted to be in Newport, Rhode Island, right? You wanted your shore duty there, right?
Yeah, want to be close to
Okay,
home.
well, they wouldn't go for that, and you just said, well, you're getting out. Okay, so they fly you off, and you got this fear of flying, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you have not flown since.
Nope.
That is really amazing. I mean, I got a slight fear of the turbulence and all, but gotta fly. But anyway, you think you might get in the plane someday again, or not really?
Yeah.
You might. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. We'll see if we can get you over that fear of flying. Anyway, it's safe travel. So you're out of the Navy now. Now what did you do?
Well, I came back here to Woonsocket. A mistake. I ended up working in this place called Leathertone for over 11 years, where they make. Alright, from what I heard, they closed down over a year ago because of the economy. I don't know if they're still around. Because the guy that told me is a well-known drunk. I'm not going to say any names or anything, but they make plastic for pick guards for Fender and Gibson. I was there for over 11 years, but I left because the pay sucked and I had a falling out with the owner. And then in '95, I went to work at a place called Flock Tech, where in 2000 I got severely injured. I sustained a head injury, which almost killed me.
Okay, tell us how that went.
Well, I don't remember the injury to this day, but from what I was told what happened, at the time I was a second shift supervisor in the cutting department. And I was told from what happened, I was coming out of the office one night, and on top of the office they had these bales of material which weighed anywhere from 900 to 2,000 pounds. And they were huge bales, like say about this big, and about, I don't know, 6, 7 feet long, whatever. And one of the guys that was working for me was getting a bale on the forklift, and supposedly the bale fell. I was coming out of the office, and the bale hit me in the front of my leg and knocked me back on the back of my head on the concrete floor. And next thing you know, I woke up in Rhode Island Hospital with 13 staples in the back of my head with a whole bunch of IVs in my arm. You know, wondering how the fuck I get in. I had a splitting fucking headache. I had no idea how long I was out for. I have no recollection of going to the hospital, no recollection of getting injured. To this day, I still don't remember it.
Now this happened in what year? 2000?
2000.
2000, so it's 9 years ago.
9 years ago.
Okay, from that point, okay, now did you go back to work after this?
Well, I was off for 4 months, and then when I went back to work, they were trying to get rid of me every single day. Because I was considered a liability.
Okay.
So after 4 months, I requested a layoff because I knew something wasn't right. Because that's when I knew I couldn't smell anything. I had headaches all the time. And I even told them, and they were like, oh, no, you're okay, you know. You mean you can't smell anything? No, you got a cold. Yeah, well, you know, a head cold doesn't last 9 fucking years straight. I'm sorry.
Right. Okay.
So I ended up, took me a long time, but I ended up getting a lawyer, and I ended up taking him to court. And took me a couple of years, but I finally settled out of court a couple of months ago.
9 years later, though.
Yeah, 9 years later.
Okay, so now that's all in the past, you'd say, and everything's...
As far as the lawsuit goes, but
Okay.
now I'm awaiting, I have to go for a hearing around December or January for disability,
Okay.
which I have another attorney who's handling that.
Okay, I know this is a touchy subject, but you don't drink anymore, right? You
No,
quit drinking.
I've been clean and sober now for 8 years.
Okay, 8 years. So
And
you were still drinking up to 2001,
Yep.
you'd say?
I quit smoking the same day I quit drinking.
Okay. Now this is an interesting story how you decided to quit drinking. You said you started selling your musical equipment for alcohol. Now
Yep.
tell us about that.
Well, at the time I had bought a Fender Telecaster, Mexican made, for at the time for like $370 brand new. That's what they were going for. And 3 months later, down the time, I wanted to go out one night and I didn't have no money, so I sold it to somebody for 60 bucks. And when I did that, after I did that, the next day I woke up, I was like, what the fuck did I do? And that's when I knew I had to quit. So I quit cold turkey. I didn't
Okay,
go
you
to
quit.
AA or anything, I just quit cold
You
turkey.
just quit on your own. Now
Quit on my own.
that's really amazing because you haven't touched a drop since, or
Nope.
have you had a relapse? You
Nope,
haven't.
I have not touched a drop since.
Okay. And do you have the desire to?
Nope,
Okay.
I can't stand being around
Alright.
drinking.
So there's no chance we're going out for beer tonight.
Nope,
Okay, that's cool. All right, but you will drink NA beer or no?
nope.
Okay.
I don't even touch
Sprite.
No,
You drink
I go
Sprite
out,
now?
I drink Sprite.
Okay, because we had Sprite last night. Okay, I want to touch on the bands that you were in after the Navy. You said you were in a blues band.
Alright, well, in '87, a bunch of us started a hair metal band called Renegade, which we played around the state. You know, various nightclubs till about 1993, 94, after which I left because I was just burnt out. There was a lot of partying going on in that band. Some of the guys in that band were doing drugs, which I never got involved in.
Well, that's cool. All right.
But I was drinking.
But you smoke pot?
Nope,
You didn't. You didn't get high. Okay.
Nope.
No drugs. No hard drugs.
no drugs.
Just alcohol.
Just booze.
Okay. All right.
But there was a lot of drinking going on, and I just couldn't deal with it anymore.
Okay.
So when I left that band, I sold all my equipment, and I didn't pick up a guitar for 5 years. I just concentrated solely on my outward. I was still drinking, but only on the weekends.
Okay.
You know, but I would either stay home and rent movies and drink, or go to karaoke.
We say karaoke. I know it's pronounced karaoke, but hey,
Yeah, I would go.
we'll go with karaoke.
I would go to karaoke bars.
Karaoke, karaoke,
Whatever.
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 It's singing.
You'll sing
right?
and make an ass out of yourself.
Okay. And we might do that tomorrow night. Or
Maybe.
what do we got planned tonight? We just sitting around
Tonight?
again?
Yeah, we're staying.
Okay,
tonight.
tomorrow night's the
Yeah,
go out night.
Mary's got to work tomorrow.
Okay, she's got to work. Okay, you were in the hair metal band, and then you said you were in a blues band also, right?
That was in 2003. Bunch of us started a band called Cool Water Blues. I was with them for about a year and a half, after which I left because I felt it was going nowhere. Because several of the members in that band didn't want to make an effort to book gigs. I was basically doing most of the work. So then a year after that, two of the guys in that band wanted to get together and start another band called Rough Shot, which is still together. And I was with them for almost a year, and I left because at the time I was getting married, plus my headaches were starting to act up again, and that was, after a gig, my headaches would be bothering me, and plus at the time too, I was booking all the gigs, and a lot of clubs were dropping us because, how can I put this? I would get complaints from club owners about some of the guys in the band. And I'm not going to name any names or anything, but I would get complaints from the club owners about some behavior on stage. I mean, it wasn't wild or anything, but...
This is the blues band being wild. Or are you talking about Renegade?
No, I'm talking about Rough Shot.
Rough Shot. How many bands were you in? Many.
Not that many.
Okay, not that many.
But
Rough Shot.
I'm not going to say any more about Rough Shot. All I'm just going to say is it didn't work out.
Didn't work out.
I'm just going to leave it at that.
Okay.
Just
And now what year are we talking now about when this
This
was over?
2007.
Oh, that roughly 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, you haven't been in a band since
No.
then, right? Okay.
No.
And you're looking to get into another band.
I'm looking to get back into it now because at the time, that was when I finally got a lawyer who took my lawsuit, and he said at the time to keep a low profile.
Okay.
You know, at that time, you know, that was when I was going to court and everything, and I couldn't be playing out anywhere.
Okay. Now let's go to your musical influences. You list AC/DC as your favorite band, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and you like the early stuff with the
Bon Scott.
Bon Scott, the singer, who is dead now from drinking. You know, we all know that story.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, he likes the early AC/DC. And what are some other bands that really influence you?
Oh, Led Zeppelin,
Led Zeppelin.
Jimmy Page,
Okay.
Richie Blackmore, Deep Purple,
How about the Village People? Anything like that?
Village People. Give me a fucking break. What do you want, fucking crack? Jesus Christ.
All right.
People.
Okay.
No, I like a lot of the.
But you do like Barry Manilow though, right? No, you're not. You're just into the hair metal stuff.
No, I
Jeff,
like,
I'm
I like a
just
lot of
teasing.
the blues-based metal guitarists.
Okay.
Like Richie Blackmore, Matthias Jabs, the Scorpions.
Okay.
You know, guys like
I
that.
gotcha.
Gary Moore, you know.
Let's look at some of these. You had mentioned your artwork. This is Jeff doing his artwork for comic books. You want to sell this, right?
Yeah, this way.
Explain this, how this all came about. This looks like the Incredible Hulk, right?
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
Getting his ass kicked by Superman.
Now, when I was a kid, I would read Archie comics and Richie Rich, but you're into the superhero
Yep.
villain type.
Yeah, the real stuff.
And you had me do this quiz yesterday online, and I only scored 17%. And what did you score?
80.
80.
Yeah.
I thought you'd probably get higher, but it seemed very difficult.
Well, I haven't read any really new stuff, and I haven't bought any new comics since 2001, 2002.
Okay, well,
Because the prices are way too high, and a lot of the storylines that are out now are stuff that's been redone over and over.
now this is what, Batman?
Yeah.
Where's Robin? He's not there?
No.
You know they're gay, right? No, I'm just,
They probably are.
that's okay, that's all right. Now this is the Power Rangers?
No, this was an assignment that I got commissioned to do a couple of years ago for a guy out in LA who decided not to pay me. This was for a book, I guess, that he was coming up with his own characters. But the son of a bitch didn't want to pay me, so I decided not to give him his eye.
Now this looks like a pencil drawing,
Yeah, it is. It's all pencil.
and this looks like Spider-Man 2. No, 1? It's Spider-Man.
28.
If you can see it, you get a good view. Okay. All right. Now I guess lastly, we want to wrap this up here. I want to get to how we got reacquainted. Now, I'll tell the story how it went. You know, I always thought about Jeff through the years, and just I would search him on the internet. Never really. I knew you lived in Woonsocket. Woonsocket.
Woonsocket.
Can you say Oshkosh?
Oshkosh.
Okay, whatever. Anyway, I couldn't really find a phone number or email address or anything, and then last December, I remember I tried it one more time, and somehow I got these searches where he would write reviews on musical instruments, amps, guitars, to these guitar mail order companies, such as Musician's Friend, AMS, right? And I thought, wow, this has got to be the Jeff that I remember from the Navy, you know, and so I kept searching, but I finally found an email address, your Hotmail address.
Yeah.
And so I emailed them.
MSN.
You know, we're talking like February of this year.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we exchanged phone numbers, we called each other, and we talked for about a half hour, and you had mentioned that you got this Stratocasters Players Club on Facebook, right? And you wanted me to join Facebook. And I'm like, kind of blowing you off kind of at the time, like, you know, this is for kids. That's what I was thinking. And you're like, you know, hey Larry, you gonna join it or what? You know, and so I thought, well, all right, I'm gonna join it. I'm gonna see what this Facebook is like, okay? All right, so I joined your club, and you were my first friend on Facebook, okay? So I'm kind of getting used to this, and I'm realizing, hey, this isn't so bad, you know, Facebook's pretty cool. But you got me addicted to it, you know that, right?
Facebook is very
addictive. It's very addicting, okay? So I get these friends, I'm playing games on there, I'm chatting, reading other people's stuff, and then I was uploading pictures. That was like my thing. I really was into that at first, you know, putting all these pictures on, of us even, and you'd make comments. I mean, it's really cool. And I'm really glad that I joined, and
it's a lot better than MySpace. Itself a lot better.
Better than MySpace. So here we are. I guess it was back in April, so I said that I was gonna come out and visit you, and then I picked the second week of September because that seemed to work out the best before we get too cold in the fall season. Because I love summer. So here I am. I'm here for 3 nights, 4 days, and we just got done with roughly an hour and a half jam session, and we're gonna practice some more later, and possibly get some more on film for you to show later in the musical segment of the show, right?
Hopefully, yeah.
Yeah, hopefully.
If not
So,
tomorrow, definitely.
I could see, I don't know if the camera can see this, but we got both dogs passed out from boredom right now. You see that? Come on up. I got to interview one of you. Let's get up here. Come here. Lady, can you come up? Can you bring her up? One at a time. I guess Coco would like to come up if you get underneath the table here. Okay, come here. Coco, can you come up right here? Okay, I got a couple questions for you. Okay, now, this way. Now, let's see here. Now, what kind of dog food do you eat?
Whatever you put in the fucking bowl.
How old are you?
2.
How long is your tongue?
As long as you want it to be.
Why do you keep jumping on me? You want to shake?
Because you fucking turn me on.
So, I can't keep my socks laying around because you'll just grab them and bring them over to the house, right?
Yep.
So, this is what the dog does. He licks me all day long, right? She?
Yeah,
It's a she. Yes, I did know that.
Female.
Okay. Now, you... Okay, I don't know what she is licking, Coco.
She does that to everybody.
Now, anyway, so, do you two get along very well? Come on, you come up here. Lady, this way. Look at the camera and
Lady's stubborn.
say hi. Now, look at these blue eyes of yours. You look at me, you know, your tail's wagging, and now do you two bite each other?
Oh yeah, they do.
Do you fight? Do you get along?
Oh, they fight. They fight.
All right. Now I heard that. Were you the one that ran away?
No, lady.
Lady ran away.
Lady
Now why would you run away like that? Come here. Over this way. Come here. Anyway, these dogs don't talk. So anyway,
I was doing my ventriloquist act.
I gotta mention your New England accent is just incredible.
What accent?
You don't know you have an accent? Do I have one? The Midwestern?
No.
The Uper accent? I talk like a normal person. I don't like hey there, that kind of thing.
I can tell.
You know, because when I go to like Las Vegas, people say, you're from Minnesota? And I said, well, Wisconsin, it's pretty close. You know, stuff like that. So they know I have this, I try to not have one. But you don't realize you have a nice Boston accent? Can you say the word Boston?
Boston.
Boston?
Yeah.
Boston. Boston.
Boston.
Okay. I'm just teasing you, Jeff.
I feel like I'm in fucking speech therapy.
Okay. So anything else you want to comment? Any other hobbies, interests? What's a typical day like for Jeff?
I get up, take my
You
dogs
get
out.
up early too.
Yeah, I get up early because I take my dogs out, get coffee ready, get my lunch ready, get my wife's lunch ready for work. And then all day I'm home with my dogs or either playing the guitar or doing housework or laundry. You know, I get dinner ready for my wife. You know, basically a house husband. I've been married for almost 2 years now. I love it. Love being married. My
No.
wife treats me good.
And you're on Facebook daily.
I'm on Facebook daily. Yes, I fucking live on there.
You do.
Just about.
I know. I'm not so bad. I mean, I don't spend as much time as I used to, but for a while there, it was getting ridiculous.
I'm on there maybe a couple hours a day. That's
Yeah,
it.
I know. So we had one lady just ran away. Now, can you come back for say goodbye? I think we're gonna wrap this up now. So can you shake? Can you sit? I know you're sitting here. So Coco and Lady. All right. There you go. That's good. Can you wave bye-bye to the camera?
Bye, baby.
All right, we're gonna wrap this up and we'll have some music later in the show. All right.
Fucking.
Here.